The coronavirus taking aim at schools, sporting events, and businesses. Tonight, Governor Eric Holcomb and Mayor Joe Hogsett outlining new guidelines to protect Hoosiers from the virus.
Plus, March Madness and the Big Ten tournament canceled, and workers at the Kokomo Chrysler plant on edge after an employee tests positive. Good evening, everyone. I'm Phil Sanchez.
And I'm Brooke Martin. Our team covering the coronavirus from all angles tonight. Our Julia Dang spent the day in Kokomo. News 8's Jenny Drasler spoke with fans about the unprecedented move by the NCAA. But we start tonight with Dan Klein. A lot to unpack from our state and city leaders, Dan.
Yeah, both the governor and the mayor trying to restrict the spread of the coronavirus, most notably by trying to limit all non-essential gatherings to fewer than 250 people at once. They're also trying to stop all non-essential travel from government employees out of state and, of course, out of the country as well. And for every child in a public school as well as a public charter school in Marion County, there's no school tomorrow through at least early April.
Today, we have received new guidance.
That new guidance from the CDC resulting in major changes for Marion County, among them limiting the size of non-essential gatherings to 250 people. Second, closing all public schools for at least the next 3 weeks until Monday, April 6th, an announcement made in conjunction with the district superintendents. Efforts will begin on Monday to feed all children who might otherwise go hungry.
These efforts will be deemed essential government functions.
Third, police officers now have the option to not arrest for nonviolent misdemeanor offenses. Instead, give people a summons to court to keep the jail and court population down. Fourth, keeping as many city employees working from home as possible.
To those who argue these policies will be disruptive, my answer is simple. They better be.
County Health Department Director Virginia Kane says even though there have been just 2 cases in Marion County as of Thursday afternoon, and worldwide few children have gotten sick, so much is still unknown.
Right now we're limited because of the amount of tests that are available to make the diagnosis.
A fact she hopes changes very soon, and that nationwide data should give more answers soon as well. And while it's early, numbers show the mortality rate for seniors is about 15%. Her biggest fear is an outbreak, which would overwhelm emergency rooms and hospitals, which are already dealing with the flu.
Right now we're prepared, but if we should get an enormously amount of large people impacting or overwhelming our healthcare system, will I have enough supplies?
Though the hope is this turns out to be an extreme measure.
I will always err on the side of caution than to find out a month from now this is way more worse than we suspected.
But for those who have been meeting and planning for weeks about the possibility of this happening, it seems to be a worst-case scenario, monitoring daily, but no definitive end in sight.
These things won't be easy, and there are, unfortunately, more difficult days ahead. I am confident that we are up to the challenge.
The 250-person limit in Marion County for non-essential gatherings lasts for the next 30 days, but technically this is a voluntary thing. This is not something where a police officer can ticket you or cite you like if you were caught driving in a blizzard. But officials say they've already had many churches and synagogues reach out to them for direction, and so certainly that is important, but it's up to the individual congregations for how they will handle this. Reporting live downtown, Dan Klein, Wish TV News 8.
Dan, thank you very much. Another major announcement coming out of that news conference. All Marion County schools will be closed. This announcement comes from Mayor Hogsett after more cases of the COVID-19 were confirmed in central Indiana. This will affect 13 school systems and over 40,000 students in Marion County. City-sponsored charter schools will also be affected.
We knew that IPS was closed because my wife works for IPS, so it seems a little bit far-fetched, I guess, to be closing everything like this.
I think it's a good thing that the schools are closing because in order to stop the spread of this virus, I think the only thing we can do is just limit the amount of people that are surrounding each one of us.
IPS announced that its closure will begin tomorrow, March 13th. Minutes before Hogsett made the announcement, Governor Eric Holcomb granted schools a 20-day waiver of the required 180 days. This means students will not have to make up the days, and the school year will not be extended.
Meanwhile, the Archdiocese of Indianapolis releasing its coronavirus guidelines. Masses throughout the Archdiocese of Indianapolis will continue to be celebrated, but in response to concerns about the virus, Archbishop Charles Thompson says Catholics are not obligated to attend Sunday Mass that is effective immediately. He says the order is until further notice.
I'll move now to Sports Director Anthony Calhoun.
Yeah, so AC, what are you learning about the decision to cancel the NCAA basketball tournament here? This is huge.
Yeah, no doubt. Major news here today. The president of the NCAA, President Emmert, made it official around 4 o'clock this afternoon that the NCAA men's and women's basketball tournament is canceled. That is an important word there because many folks thought maybe he may postpone it. Not the case at all. Canceled, that means no championship at all, no March Madness at all for 2020. The reaction just on social media and just throughout the sports world, a lot of folks in shock. We know the NBA and a lot of these other major leagues have suspended play as of right now, but as far as the NCAA saying they are going to cancel, complete deal when it comes to men's and women's college basketball.
It was a tough decision for them, too. It came later in the day. It just showed the severity of this.
Yeah, and you know, we last night, right here on Wish TV at 10 o'clock last night, we made the news here, the breaking news about the NBA suspending play. At that time, I felt like, you know, this is leading down the road where the NCAA is probably not going to have March Madness. But when you think about it, I mean, these universities they're closing universities for the most part, doing a lot of the studies going away from school.
Right.
And so that is asking a lot from these amateur athletes to go out and get on these planes, go around the country and play basketball when we have a serious issue like this. But I will say this, it's going to be very strange next week. This is unprecedented. This has never happened before. And to know that this is March Madness time and something that affects our culture, when you think about it, your friends and family watch games, not the case this year.
Well, it was a really good point. Someone made it earlier, was that, you know, fans, if they're not in the arenas, they're going to be in bars.
That's right.
And, you know, people will be around. So really the best option, is a full cancellation.
You have to.
If you're going to protect people.
That's right. And that's, you know, I feel bad for the seniors. I feel bad for just here locally. Think about IUPUI women's basketball team. First time going there to the NCAA tournament. Now they don't get the opportunity to do it. But the seniors you think a whole lot about. But at the end of the day, I mean, President Emmert, he had to make that decision. When you're shutting down schools, when you're shutting down colleges for the most part, and then they also made the decision too, all the spring sports when it comes to NCAA championships, that they've all been shut down. And so you think about baseball, you know, we're talking like in May, but they made that decision already.
Amateur is the key word. That is not pros. They're not getting paid.
That's right.
Kids.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
Safety first.
AC, thanks.
No problem.
Our coverage of the major announcement from the NCAA continues with our News 8's Jenny Dracely.
She spoke to fans just moments after the decision was made. She's live for us from NCAA headquarters in downtown Indy. Jenny, good evening.
Good evening, Phil and Brooke. And like you guys just heard AC say, and I can attest to that. I did speak to fans. I think that they're just in shock. There's just this sense of this is unprecedented. This has never happened before. And I think they were still really reeling from the news that came down yesterday when the Big Ten said that they were done as well. Now, this announcement came down from the NCAA today around 4 o'clock this afternoon. This decision was made, you guys, after several conference tournaments were being called off just one by one all day today. Now, Indy's Lucas Oil Stadium was set to play host to the NCAA tournament's Midwest Regionals, including the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight, starting on March 26th and going through the 28th. The NCAA said in a statement that this decision is based on the evolving COVID-19 public health threat, our ability to ensure the events do not contribute to the spread of the pandemic, and the impracticality of hosting such events at any time during this academic year, given ongoing decisions by other entities. Now, I talked to fans today who are now calling this March sadness instead of madness, but today there was more of a sense of understanding that things are really just getting serious.
Well, I was disappointed at first, I mean, because we were really excited, but I mean, it's understandable. You got to contain it.
Think about all the kids who worked so hard to get to this level, and they have the opportunity to finally reach their dreams, and it's sad, it's tragic.
I think it's a surprise to everybody with the NBA season to begin with, and then you take it into NCAA. I mean, it's all about, what's right for, the population as a whole and limiting this disease.
Now, some fans told me today they had hoped the NCAA would change their minds, and on Twitter, even the hashtag #MayMadness was trending. But guys, as of tonight, that tournament will not be rescheduled and is completely called off. Live from NCAA headquarters in downtown Indianapolis, Jenny Drasler, Wish TV News 8.
Jenny, thank you. New tonight, a Fiat Chrysler employee is speaking out about the company's response. That's after an auto worker in central Indiana tested positive for coronavirus.
Union officials say that he works at the Kokomo transmission plant, which employs more than 4,000 people. News 8's Julia Dang was there today. And Julia, operations continuing as normal.
Well, Phil, as normal as it can be in this kind of situation, production is ongoing, but workers are worried about delayed notification and any exposure that may have happened before they were notified. A company rep tells me they learned a worker had tested positive for COVID-19 yesterday, but other factory employees tell me they were not informed until today. Dozens of empty parking spots at an auto plant that employs thousands. This was hours after Fiat Chrysler automobiles announced Thursday a worker at their Kokomo transmission plant on Reed Road had tested positive for coronavirus. State health officials said Wednesday a presumptive positive case had been identified in Howard County. In an email to News 8, FCA confirmed they were informed Wednesday.
The sooner we could have known, the better.
This FCA worker requested we hide his identity. He's concerned about the company's handling of the situation and fears retaliation for speaking out.
Wait to see if it starts getting worse.
He has asthma, is at higher risk of serious illness from COVID-19 due to his age, and visited his young grandchildren the day before he learned about the confirmed case at work.
The worst part was not knowing that I could have possibly been exposed to it.
The employee infected with COVID-19 is now receiving medical treatment. The company has placed an unknown number of other Kokomo workers in home quarantine.
But then again, you still have to wonder if they had been in there for even a half a day. There's thousands of people there, and who's to say he couldn't have walked by hundreds of them.
In a statement to News 8, FCA says the company deep cleaned the employees' working area and restructured break times to avoid crowding. But workers say common areas, including vending machines and the cafeteria, did not get the same disinfection treatment. And some plant workers don't have paid sick leave, including this man.
That's my bigger fear, is that more people end up getting it, but they still come to work because it's how they make a living, and they have to take care of their families.
And in an email earlier tonight, a company rep says they waited to inform plant workers at large because they found out late in the day. She declined to talk to me on camera. The company is not commenting on how many people are in home quarantine, and FCA could not immediately confirm what percentage of their Kokomo workers have paid sick leave. Live in the studio, Julia Dang, Wish TV News 8.
Thanks, Julia. Another coronavirus patient is a staff member at the Hancock County Jail. The sheriff's office says the employee is currently home and in self-quarantine. Two others who were in direct contact with the employee are also home in self-quarantine. They have not shown any symptoms. The sheriff's office says the employee was not in direct contact with any inmates at the jail.